Well, hello. Welcome to my live stream. I finally got here this week. I don't know how it's been for everybody else, but this is a week where plans get changed at the last minute. And, oh, this is funny. Um, this week I've had a very sensitive stomach. I've been anxious. It's like there's a lot of anxious energy right now. So if you're feeling that intensity, we just had a full moon on Sunday. I'm trying to remember what day it even is. And we're still in the full moon phase. So that is like part of the reason why it feels so intense. So yeah, I was planning to do this live stream multiple days this week. Didn't happen. And it's so funny. Um, I Yeah. So today we're doing something a little bit different. This is my first time. I've done a lot of live readings over on a different app, and because the internet is changing so much, I am changing a little bit of what I'm doing, what I'm offering. So tonight I'm going to talk about pop culture as it relates to some of the astrology that we have going on right now. I made a bunch of predictions. Hello, we got Shelby. I made a bunch of predictions about the full moon, and it's really funny because I am just chronically I am technically a entertainment industry person, but I'm not in the music industry. And I usually never know when an award show is going to be on. So I made all these predictions talking about celebrity this, celebrity that, maybe some Oscar scandals, which did happen, unfortunately, in a much sadder way than I wanted to. I'll get into that. And I just like, obviously, if I had known that the Grammys were going to be the same day as the full moon, probably would have made maybe some more specific ones. But I think that, we'll look at some of the stuff that happened with the Grammys. I have a lot to say about like a lot of the pop culture stuff going on right now. And because pop culture unfortunately relates plenty to our political situation right now, I am going to try. Hello, I know other people are telling me that aren't in chat. They're like, I'm here. Thank you so much. Even if you're not in the chat, I appreciate you being here. I get really nervous sometimes doing new things, and I've been doing live streams on Twitch for like a year now. So it really shouldn't be like that nerve wracking, but I'm dual streaming on YouTube today. And like I had to set it up, and then I like made this thing. I just was like way overthinking it. And of course, the moon is in Virgo right now. It's like opposite Saturn. So everything feels so much more serious than it may actually be. And then on the other hand, we have all of this news that is actually way more important than the pop culture stuff that I'm going to be talking about tonight, related to the Epstein files. But I think I have to do like a whole fucking stream that's just on the Epstein files. And as much as we need to talk about it, unfortunately, we need to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I wish that it wasn't real. I wish this wasn't really happening, but it is. Hello, we've got Burgundy 24B. Hello. Nice to see y'all. Uh, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff to talk about. I know that the stuff that I'm talking about tonight is not necessarily the most important stuff. I promise I am thinking about the stuff that is the most important, probably a little bit too much, and just trying to. One of the things that's happening right now is I'm waiting for this full moon phase to end before I start talking about it, because I think for me at least the dust is still settling. Like, we've already been getting all of these files like piecemeal, and then this drop comes out, what was it, like Friday? And people are like looking into it all weekend, and there's so many files that it's like people are still digging through them. There's so much. That's part of, I think, the strategy of releasing things this way. It's like overwhelming. But this really speaks to like everything happening in the world right now and the kinds of people that are like making the decisions and things like that. So I am going to try not to talk about it, although it does kind of come up because Nicki Minaj was running her mouth, and I find that interesting about the Grammys. So I figured we start talking about the Grammys. And what's funny is like in relationship to the astrology right now, and I've talked about this before. I think it might have been in 2024. I did an episode of the podcast called Bread and Circuses. Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, Nikki. Mm, you know that joke slash meme that's like, "Are you a Nikki fan?" Um, you can't even do that anymore. It's like not funny. It's not funny to be a Nikki fan anymore. So I'm not a Nikki fan anymore. I'm ex Barb. I was not that serious of a Barb. My friends and I were sort of like we were like lightweight Barbs, I guess we you would say. There were some people that are Barbs that are like for real Barbs. I would say we were more like a little bit. It was a little bit more comedic. I can't even joke about it anymore. I can't even be a fake joke Barb anymore because of how just like low she has stooped. And yeah, just talking about all of that stuff. Hello, hi, Crystal Roberts. It's so nice to see our YouTube friends in the chat. Thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome. So, how this is going to work tonight, I'm doing this a little bit differently, so I appreciate you guys bearing with me. I'm going to be doing some readings if people want them. You can use the QR code, you can use this link here, and you sign up. It should be pretty straightforward. You can let me know in the chat if you have any issues. And basically, I'll do those readings like in between talking about this other stuff that I was planning to talk about. So that's that. There's nobody on my list right now. So if you want a reading tonight, you want to be first one on the list, let me know. It's there, it's good, it's going, it's happening. And yeah, so we're trying out some new stuff. I also upgraded my little setup here. I have a second screen now. So if you see me like looking off to the side, that's why. Uh I was really struggling to do everything on my one big screen. I have two big screens. Um, there's a lot of big screen happening here. So yeah, let's talk about the Grammys, and then if people want readings after I talk about the Grammys, we'll just dive right into that. Um, Here we go. All right, so one of the things that we've talked about before, if you've heard my episode rather, Bread and Circuses, I've been talking about how in Pluto in Aquarius, um, our relationship to celebrity is changing in a radical way. And I think when I said this a few years ago, when I made this prediction, when I made that episode and was talking about, like, yeah, we're not going to value celebrities in the way that we do right now, it probably sounded a little bit more far fetched, especially like American culture is so celebrity obsessed. And I think a lot of the rest of the world it has some level of like celebrity obsession, right? And now that we're a couple years into Pluto and Aquarius, this experience that we're all having now, which is like a 19-year period of time, so it's not an overnight thing. Uh, I think people maybe are seeing my point a little bit more. Like people are getting fed up. One of the things I noticed is that a lot of people that normally watch the Grammys were not watching the Grammys this year. Even even my award season gays were like, I'm not interested this year. And it's so interesting. I think because of everything happening with ICE and the Epstein files and everything else that is going on right now. I think a lot of people are like losing their taste for celebrity in a certain way, and I think that is sort of the direction that we need to let go of celebrity in a certain way. That being said, I think there's always going to be people yeah, finally, right. It takes up a lot of our energy, and honestly, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this in that episode too. I think that some of our relationship with celebrity is a remnant from an era where we had royalty, where we had kings and queens. And of course, we still have that in some places. But a lot of us live in places where that is really not a part of our life. I'm in the United States. We don't have royalty, but we do have celebrities. And I do think that that has functioned in a certain way, like a similar way to the way that we look at royalty. And astrologically, it's kind of one and the same. So I find it really interesting that there seems to be less of an interest. I don't know the numbers. Like I'd have to look at the data about views and how well it did compared to previous years. But I just noticed in terms of the conversation about the Grammys that there was just a lot more disinterest, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Like given everything that's going on right now. So one of the big things that was happening in terms of the Grammys is obviously we've got this ICE situation going right now. ICE is escalating quite a lot, and so it makes sense to me that there was some conversation about this at the Grammys. And as you can see, like everybody's got these little tiny pins on their lapels, whatever. Uh, okay, I really, it was, better than nothing. Better than nothing. You follow a marketing strategist. Let's see. Sorry, I'm gonna. A marketing strategist made a video about how she thinks we are going to lose interest in celebs and go back to mini celeb and niche communities circa early internet days. Yeah, that's kind of what my prediction was. I think the way that I phrased it in the petty astrology episode was, I think I said something like, um, I think what I see is a more like the celebrities aren't like up here while we're down here. It's more of like the celebrities are kind of like in the middle and there are more of them. So they're a little bit more niche. Niche is a good word. Um, and I think, I recorded this like 2 years ago, I want to say. So I think that at the time I called it like almost like the TikTok celebrities, whereas like, there's, how there's like tons of people that have like over 1 million followers on TikTok. Uh, but most people wouldn't recognize them at the grocery store, that kind of a thing. I think it's going to be a little bit more niche like that. I think people will have like their people that they pay attention to and that they watch, and it might not be this big gap in 20 years the way that it is now. I think that stuff like this is going to read more and more out of touch. It was something I said about the Taylor Swift engagement. If you remember when that happened, I was like, this is not going to play the way like that Taylor Swift stuff has played in the past. We are not in the same era anymore. And I think that the more that conditions degrade, I think that the more people are going to be like repulsed that, people have this much money, that they don't do more with it, that they don't do more with their platform. And I think it won't be so cute that they have this enormous wealth gap. So they had their little pins on. I do appreciate that they do these little things. However, I just want to say that we really shouldn't be looking to celebrities or these higher ups, our royalty, to be the solution to these things, or that they're going to say the right thing and then things are going to change. That's really not like a realistic thing. But people were like talking fuck eyes. They were saying their whole thing. One of the big things, and I think was perhaps part of the full moon and sort of the upsets that I was seeing, I do think that having a Puerto Rican rapper singer win best album for a album that's entirely in Spanish at this moment was kind of like a fuck you to the whole situation, and I think that is a bit of an upset. So I was happy to see that. I'm really not a Grammys person. I have never really been a huge Grammys person. I don't know, like I'm not. There's like certain award shows that I think are a little bit better than others, and this one has always been kind of like middle to bottom for me. Um, I liked that there was a lot of conversation about immigrants and like respecting immigrants and being immigrants. I liked Kehlani saying, fuck guys. I thought hers was kind of the best. And the other thing about it is that people like Billie Eilish, people like Kehlani have actually, especially Kehlani, has done things outside of just wearing a pin. You know what I mean? Like, I think when people just wear the pin and they're like, yeah, we got to stop this, it comes off to me as a bit disingenuous. And I think that is going to, as we move along in Pluto and Aquarius, and we're still in the really early phases, I think it's going to be less appreciated because it's like they're not doing really anything. So, I do think that one of the funniest things though, so we had Joni Mitchell had a pin on, lots of Samara Joy has a pin on. Okay, so we got all these people, they got their pins on. There was, what's his name? What's that guy? One of my favorite was, there was a guy who, let me see if I can find that video because it was just too good. I always blank on his name, but he's like a big producer. And he was wearing an ice out pin and was asked about it and like completely had nothing to say. Nothing to say. Did you guys see that video? Jack Antonoff. That's it. I always forget his name. Um, Here, let's see. I'll bring this over to this side. Um,
Close.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the pin that you're wearing tonight?
I mean,
Why is that important?
this is terrible. You know, I mean, it's time to. It's just for every reason you could imagine, I would think. But yeah, I'm a bit speechless trying to even talk about it. Yeah,
Absolutely. It's like hard to talk about anything else at
yeah,
this point.
I get it.
But
But we can do both and find a way to. Uh, I don't know. It's just a really good time for people to come together and figure out how to move through this because it's only going to be small communities that can really help.
okay. I watched this and I was like, this is so embarrassing for him. Um, so I keep saying I don't want to talk about the Epstein thing, but I think that story and this story, and just kind of the general feeling right now about the people that have more power and influence in our current systems is really showing like this is a person that lives in a different reality than the rest of us. And I think it's just showing how insulated wealth can make people. And yeah, like these people, by and large, are not going to have to face the consequences of the things that are happening with ICE. They can just put their pin on. I saw another streamer that was talking about how she thought that somebody put this pin on him and he didn't know what it was and apparently didn't think he was going to be asked about it. So, kind of funny. But I do think that overall, like just in terms of the fallout of this full moon, I think it's really, in a lot of ways, I see this reinforcement of like the death of celebrity culture and our reorientation towards celebrity. Like, I think that there is this idea, and this kind of can go back to like in religious circles, like, oh, if you are wealthy, you are blessed, God has given you that money, you must be a good person, prosperity gospel kind of thing. I think that type of thinking, which also, like I was saying before, it relates to this, centuries old relationship that peasants and regular people have had to the wealthy and to royalty, like that God put them there. And so therefore they are, it is appropriate for them to be above people, that they have more merit, more morality, so we just leave them where they are. And now I think in light of more of the information that we have, more of the experiences that we're having, it's very much like it's taking the shine off of the whole thing, that maybe it's not super cute. Maybe it's not super cute that we have this big divide between people, the people that have power and influence and resources, and then the people who are struggling and hoping that they can maybe be in that position, but also are in many cases revering those people for being above. Um, except for Bad Bunny, not a football person, but just learned that your 67-year-old mom knows all about him and thinks he is adorable. He has reach. That's cute. Yeah, she's looking forward to his big moment. Yeah, I mean, I am not an NFL person by any means. I think the NFL is a horrible organization. Um, but I do think that it is significant to have a Spanish speaking Puerto Rican artist at this moment, being the center of the halftime show. So, I'm not. I think we're just seeing where the old way of these maintaining these divides and like holding these divides up is getting us into trouble, right? Like that there are some people that are they're so removed from the rest of humanity, right? And like celebrity does have this way of removing you from humanity. And I do talk about it a lot from the perspective of people that are in power or that are wealthy, right? But the other side of it is us. These people don't have power, influence, authority if we don't place them on the pedestal, if we don't hold that up for them. And I think that that is the other side of Pluto and Aquarius, that it's really up to us. Like, those people can't be in that situation where they are high above in some certain way if that's not what the people allow. You know what I mean? So I think we're like being forced to reckon with like audience culture in a lot of ways, like fandoms and how we view not only like class but celebrity, and those two things are tied together in a lot of cases. For celebrities, there's not a lot of poor celebrities, you know. So, but I'm glad that it is like upsetting people that their American football game doesn't look like exactly the way that they want it to at this particular moment. And so I know somebody earlier was saying that they wanted a reading. Again, just going to reiterate, you have to go to this link, you have to sign up for the reading, you have to pay for the reading. So the list is open right now for people who do want that, but oh, nice. Sorry, I'm catching up on my. I have Hassan Tiny Head on YouTube. I don't know. I'm getting word. People were telling Hassan Piker that his head looked smaller on YouTube, and now people are coming for me for my tiny head, potentially being smaller on YouTube. But yeah, so I think it's really interesting too because we have people like Nicki Minaj responding to the Grammys, and let's see, she went off because Trevor Noah made some jokes about her, right? And it has to do with her recent her recent connection to Donald Trump, and she was obviously not she was not present at the Grammys. So the host was making fun of her and making fun of her for making fun of her for this. Nicki Minaj is not here, Noah said. She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Noah then went on to impersonate Trump in a hypothetical debate with Minaj about whose buttocks is bigger. The hip hop superstar has previously rapped about her derriere, and most notably in the 2014 hit Anaconda. Okay, so he was talking about his big ass, blah, blah, blah. And so she reacted very, very strongly to this. I don't know if this article, it doesn't look like the article has. I want to see her response. Ugh, so rude. It's so rude when they trick me like this. There we go. I want to see what she said. Because hers was pretty, I mean, she's basically talking about the other side of this, because the other side of this is that there are maybe more conscientious people that are, they're kind of over the celebrity reverence that is such a big part of our culture. And then there are people like this who are falling further into sort of like the QAnon type of conspiracy theory type of thing. And so she responded, as they do their ritual tonight, God Almighty will reveal himself to them. The ritual will backfire on them. God will not be mocked. Blessed is the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Every tongue that rises up against me in judgment shall be condemned and put to shame. So, yeah, and then there was other tweets that she had, but it's kind of amazing to me that somebody could be so critical about the ritual of celebrity and the Grammys and all of that, and meanwhile she herself is talking about a whole group of people that are running the country that are in the Epstein files, related to people that knew Epstein, were close with it. Like, it's and if you know anything about Nicki Minaj, you know the company that she keeps. She's got other people that are in her life and in her circle that have been accused, if not convicted, of sex crimes. So It's very interesting, but I do think that a lot of it has to do with like her own, gain that she's getting out of. Like she's having some, I think, legal issues, and I think she also uh, got a citizenship something or other out of this situation. So like, it's not like she's just, um, it doesn't seem like to me she's maybe necessarily doing it out of like pure belief in this. It seems to be about something a lot more personal for her. Um, but I think that one of the positives in some ways about like these types of moments is, Donald Trump has a lot of problems, but he came out of the entertainment world, like the reason that we know who Donald Trump is because he was in entertainment for as long as he was. That was what allowed him the platform to become the guy that had a shot in hell at the presidency. She looked like she was bugging out for real while trying to get through that podium speech. Yeah, it was just very like, I can't explain it, but when I saw clips of that moment, which I won't put on us now. You can go watch it if you would like to be haunted. The vibe is just really bad. The vibe is just really off. Um, and not only just because like the men that she's associating with these politicians are off too, but it's just like the whole, I don't know. There's something really disturbing about people that are doing and supporting really evil things, and then they're talking about how close to God that they are and how good that they are. I feel like it has to be turning some people off. And what's interesting too is that it's not like most people that like Nicki Minaj are like huge Trump fans. I'm sure there's some crossover, but and it's not like most Trump fans are super huge Nicki Minaj fans. So it's kind of like it's kind of a weird like what is everybody getting out of this? You know what I mean? Um, but I think that the cracks within, I mean, celebrities have always fought with each other, but I do think that there is some kind of um, breakdown happening politically right now that is like influencing people to sort of like take sides, which may not be the worst thing right now because especially given how celebrity obsessed, as we are as a culture, um, like it should cost people to uh, start going to bat for Donald Trump. Like, are you serious? And I think some of the other tweets that she quote were about. I think they were alluding to like pedophilia, um, which I find again. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about as you shake hands with Donald Trump? Like that is incredibly strange. Um, that is incredibly strange. So there's that. Okay. But honestly, like it seemed even though this was like a story, this story that everybody was talking about ICE and da da da, it kind of just seemed like it seemed kind of boring. Like I don't know if anybody actually I did not actually watch the Grammys, but I heard from other people that they were like, yeah, it was like kind of a nothing. So I'm wondering like if it seems to me that we are just like watching um just a lower investment in celebrity happening, which I think is really exciting. I think that's really, really exciting. And then on the other hand, we have, in terms of entertainment and media, we have uh, some censorship. So I have not been on TikTok for a minute, and I actually got it off of my phone because I actually don't want it on my phone anymore because of who bought it and where he gives his money to. And uh, I feel like there's a high likelihood that it is being used for nefarious purposes, like collecting data and information on people who may not agree with policies that are being put forth by our current administration. So, something to think about. In terms of the pop culture side of things, it seems like I don't know, is anybody here still doing TikTok? Like, has the environment changed? I would not be qualified to answer that at this point. But I think that if it has changed in the way that I think that it may be changing, and more people, it seemed like a bunch of people just were happy to delete it, hop right off, and then there's some people that are still hanging on. You haven't noticed a change. Okay. So in that case, then probably mm, I do think that there is some aspect of this full moon that definitely has to do with taking more control over the internet. So it may be that that has happened, and that a lot of people are going to elect to, yeah, they are collecting data. And so the thing is that a lot of apps collect data, right? A lot of apps collect data. Meta collects a lot of data. However, it's um, it's worse in a way. It's worse in a way now because, again, the owner, one of the significant owners, Larry Ellison of the now TikTok, uh, is the number one donor to the IDF. And if you know anything about that country or that organization, you know that tech loopholes are kind of what they weaponize as part of their way to maintain power and control. So, I think you have to understand it's not even just when you use the app. Like, it's when you're using other apps. That's one of the reasons why, like, if you use YouTube, for example, if you are texting about, I need, a new such and such, then you'll see ads on YouTube for that new thing that you texted about. Apps that are on your phone can do things like that. So I was talking to a friend about it. I had originally intended to just keep it on my phone and do my best, but yeah, I ultimately kind of waited, and at this point, I'm only going to use it on my desktop, so I haven't really been on it at all. Um, but I do think that this may potentially impact communications and kind of the reach of pop culture if more people start taking this stuff seriously. It is concerning to me that if people are just largely like, it's okay, because again, that means that they successfully took over this tool, and kind of have the permission to shape the narrative even more. So there's even more and more control over like the information that we're even seeing. In terms of pop culture, it's like, oh, are we gonna prop up? Um, that's interesting. She has no apps, but we obviously text each other, and somehow an ad for those cookies came up on your feed. Yeah. You have to, and that's the thing is you have to understand that anything that you're putting in your phone, like anything, or not even putting on your phone, you have to remember that a phone is I have $1 in my phone. Just, okay, I have $1 in my phone, please. Anything that you're doing, this is a camera, this is a listening device, like you have to treat it that way. And my concern is that a lot of people are very lax with what they do with their phone, even if you're on the same Wi-Fi. Yeah. So I think this is something that, like, going forward, I think we really, like, we can't be lax about it. ICE is using technology that they got from Israel to track people's phones without warrants. Like, I don't think people understand how bad of a situation we are in. And so things that seem, fairly innocuous, like TikTok, which a lot of us have fun on and we engage in, we learn, we do pop culture, like that kind of stuff. It actually is a secret. It's a Trojan horse in the sense to get your information and your data. So, without being aware of that, I think a lot of people are going to get themselves into sticky situations. Like you're much more vulnerable, and I don't think that people understand that, like, how they are listening. You get fed not just ads, but disturbing content related to a medical condition I purposely don't search or text about. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that I think people need to take this incredibly seriously. Like they have, we're basically surveilling ourselves for the government or governments, and so, like, do you want to do that? Do you want to be monitored in that way? And remember, and I know a lot of people, like the FBI guy that watches me or whatever, understand that part of the reason that the government is like investing so heavily in AI is to make this more automated. So if you've ever been on like TikTok or another app that has flagged you for something that maybe wasn't even you breaking the rules, but it thought you were breaking the rules, you know how annoying that and wrong those kind of AI searches can be, right? So, like, understand that they can aggregate this information. One of the things that is definitely something that we'll talk about when I do talk about the Epstein files is that people like Peter Thiel, who is of course one of the founders of Palantir, which has a contract with a large AI company and works closely with the government. The goal for that is to basically surveil regular people so that we uh, stay in line, essentially. And if you look at Peter Thiel's exchanges with Epstein, they have this very sinister, they want to control the lesser people, right? They're the dominating class. They're better than us. So we should default to their vision for the world and let them monitor us because they give us fun apps, right? So these are the things that I'm thinking about right now because we're already seeing ICE like weaponize these things. A lot of these types of, like, Israel does a lot of tech development. Like, that is, they have a very strong tech economy, and they've developed a lot of things that they have tested on Palestinians. And so then the United States and other places will buy that technology and be like, oh, perfect, we can now use this on our own citizens. And I just think we're way too comfortable with how surveilled we are right now. And again, the government will buy data from commercial apps. So they would buy data from, like, I'm sure, like Facebook, Meta. They will buy data from apps and put that into their databases so that they can get a bigger picture of who you are for whatever purpose that they want. And remember, they're keeping lists of people that are saying things that they don't like. And we've already seen, like, people are getting harassed and even picked up. So, as much fun and it's super fun to be on the internet and doing this stuff, but then there's a cost, and I think it would be a huge mistake if we just kind of let this continue being the norm and feeding into it, especially as things are getting more intense. We're going to be shooting ourselves in the foot, so to speak, if we are not conscious of that. If we're, like, not actually treating our tech in that it is, that is revealing information about us, whether we want it to or not. So we have to go into it knowing that and be more strategic about how we use technology and, like, what we say and where we say it and how we say it, because yeah, we're otherwise we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in trouble. All right, somebody. We got Ren. Wonderful, wonderful. Lovely. All right, I'm gonna pull up your stuff. I'll take a little break, and then I was thinking we could talk about Catherine O'Hara because I'm very sad about Catherine O'Hara's untimely passing. Um, and I was gonna look at her astrology. I could have sworn that I had like a real chart for her, but I must have made it up because I could not find it the other day when I went and looked. But I'm gonna pull that up so we remember, and then we'll get to Ren. Okay. And by the way, all of the tarot readings tonight are the proceeds are being donated to vendors here in Los Angeles. I don't know how many people are familiar with what is happening in Los Angeles because we're definitely not getting as much attention as Minneapolis. Not that I think that the situation there is even more extreme, but it is bad here, and a lot of vendors are being picked up by ICE, and so a lot of other vendors are having to stay home and they're unable to pay their bills because they can't work. They can't sell the things that they use to make money. So there has been a movement in Los Angeles to provide funds for as many vendors as possible so that people can stay home and not get kidnapped and abducted. So it's going to a good cause. If you do get a tarot reading tonight, thank you, Ren. That's where it's going. All right. How can you get back into reading books again? That's a great question. I have been reading I've been reading Moby Dick, which I think is really funny. And I actually think it was written I think it might have been a Neptune and Pisces novel. I think I learned that actually after I started reading it in Neptune and Pisces. Which I thought was pretty cool. Like Moby Dick, of course, Neptune and Pisces. I would be disappointed if it wasn't. I'm pretty sure. Okay. So, how can Ren get back into reading books? Yeah, right? Like, I was like, oh, okay, Moby Dick. Um, reading is also, I think, really nice right now because I think it's good to not be plugged in the way that we can be all the time. And I say this as someone who's plugged in too much. But when my brain likes it when I read because we're not staring, well, we are staring at a screen because I read it on my phone, but we're staring at the good screen. All right. I'm gonna pull the cards first, and then I'll reveal being precious tonight. Okay. So I'm getting here. We got the Three of Wands. We got the Three of Wands here. So I'm kind of getting the sense that like maybe part of the reason why we're not reading books is maybe we're thinking too much about the future, or we're like kind of keyed up about the future. Let me know if that resonates. But it might be that we're looking outwards too much. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this. Is like and I understand this very well. Okay, it's hard not to right now. So I'm kind of getting the sense that you're not, in the sense that you're neglecting some of your needs in a certain way. Like if we're all, looking out, like there's good things to look forward to as well, and hopefully, despite all of the chaos that's happening, hopefully that you're finding things that are positive to look forward to as well, because it's not a bad thing to look forward, but it seems like that is a big part of the reason why maybe we're not reading, because you have to be present to really like absorb a book. And I think that's one of the good reasons like why it's good to read. Is to, ground yourself in that moment. It's like you're present and you're not in a certain way. But it does require a little bit of like, a little bit of focus. And so I feel like that's not what we're getting. It feels almost like the energy that I'm getting from these cards is like it feels muddy. It feels like there's a muddiness in life right now, which, you know, I get that. Stuff is feeling really muddy. But it's almost like you're doing yourself a disservice. It's like you're not, I got the justice card reversed here. It's like you're not taking into account that there is more that you need. There's an imbalance. Um, yeah, that's what you love about it. It's hard to tune in. Yeah. Um, I keep feeling this like muddy feeling. Like we're just kind of trudging through stuff. Um, it also feels like there is like if we were going to read, um, I think it's about a little bit about like managing your energy a little bit. Um, I think also another thing that I'm getting from this is that like it's not taking anything away from the other things that you're doing to read. Is there any sense of that like, oh, I had there's more important things to be doing than reading? Is that like anywhere in the mix? Because um it feels like part of this is like you need to engage with your mind in a different way that's not putting the pressure on your mind to kind of solve things for you, if that makes sense, like make decisions necessarily. It's engaging your mind in a way um, that is more personal. And I think that that's going to allow you to um, do the other things that I think maybe in your rational mind might seem more important if you give yourself the space to do the things like read, which might feel more frivolous. The other thing I want to say is that, like, if that is the case, you miss having slow, complex thoughts. Yeah. It feels almost like the solution here is to slow down and go be a little bit more internal about it because as we know there's like a ton to focus on the outside, so it's not about abandoning that as much as it is about counterbalancing it with that personal enjoyment, pleasure, learning, that's like an important thing. I think that all of that uh, work, personal work, will better enable you to do the other things that I think are also important to you, like in the outside world. Does that make sense? So it really feels like it's just a matter of uh, making more time for it and not so much like I know it's really hard because there is a lot of urgency in things that are happening right now. And I'm definitely not saying that those things are not urgent. However, we have to remember that this is a bigger picture, this is a more complex thing. And I think by allowing yourself that pleasure and enjoyment and learning, you're going to be better equipped to do all of those other things too. So remember that. It's like, I think we can just trivialize like pleasure and enjoyment. And this is really giving, I mean, it's like the justice card, it is in reverse, but it's a justice card, right? And I know that you are somebody that is very invested in justice and it's super relevant to you and your life and like what you want. So I think that what I'm getting from this reading is that uh, there's more to fuel that is personal, and it's okay to be like real about that. And the last card is the Ten of Cups, right? So this is my like, sort of like outcome advice card. Um, give yourself that joy and that emotional pleasure. That is what is going to make the rest of the shit so sustainable, like at all, right? You do need like a little bit of hope and escapism. And I think that's one of the things that reading can provide. Even if we're reading like stuff that is nonfiction, even if we're reading a novel, there is this hopefulness I think that can come from that process, especially if you're like active about it. Like I'm going to try, maybe don't read a depressing like Russian novel or something if that's not what you're into, but like find things that are going to generate this sort of a a feeling for you. Because I'm getting that you need that. It's like you need to get less in the head and like I need to accomplish, and make sure that we're checking in with that feeling space, that we're filling up our cups, because this is the outcomes. Like you're gonna fill up your cups, and then look, you're gonna be out there doing ice watch, and you're gonna be more uh, you're gonna be pouring from a full cup instead of an empty cup. So I think giving yourself this permission and understanding um, that it's actually in your best long-term interest to read. You know what I mean? The other thing about this too is like if I know as the justice card came up, I keep going back to it. Um, in social justice movements, we don't read enough. We don't read enough. Everybody's doing vibes, everybody's doing TikTok videos, and those can be great starting points. But reading, there's no replacement for the reading that is going to actually make the justice work, right? So it's all good. I think that's when you see the 10 of Cups as the last card, it's kind of like, don't worry so much. That's what I'm taking as. I hope that was helpful, Ren, and I would love to hear more about what you want to read. What's going on? Did we get another one? Donating one. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you very much, Ren. Donating one, you can do a reading for someone in chat or just pass it on to the vendors. Wonderful. Well, there's no one else on my list right now. So is there someone in the chat that would like a reading? What a lovely gift from Ren. Let's do it. There was somebody here earlier that dipped out. Yes. Okay. Burgundy, what would you like a reading on? Okay. Yes, thank you, Ren. Tonight I am drinking passion fruit juice with pulp, and I have to say it's really good. Health. Okay. Aw, a po' boy puzzle. That's cute. That's okay, Shelby. I'm happy you're here. Um, Health. Okay. So here's my caveat. I got to say it because I got to say it. Not a doctor. Can't diagnose anything. Can't diagnose anything. Not a substitute for a doctor. But we'll just do something general. See like if there's anything we can get out of this. So we'll keep it real general. All right. You found the Shirley Temple Poppy and it's delish, but doesn't taste like one. Yeah, I actually saw. I think I saw a review of like a bunch of Shirley Temple flavored drinks, and I think that one might have been on it. And so it was interesting to see what the person that was reviewing them said. And I think that they said it didn't taste like Shirley Temple either, which is so funny because like it's not hard to make a Shirley Temple. I just add the grenadine to the poppy lemon lime, and that's it. Okay. Okay. All right. So, getting the sense, Burgundy, that maybe you are like it seems like there's a that you have a lot weighing on you right now health wise. Um, it feels like you might not be sharing that with other people. Is that the case? Is it a really hard time right now and you're kind of downplaying it or keeping it to yourself? It's interesting how they all released at the same time. Yeah, like why is there a sudden rush? I've heard that younger people like are into Shirley Temples for some reason now. I don't know. That maybe it was like a meme or something. I saw that when I saw that review and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know this was like a thing. I didn't know. I had no idea." Burgundy, if you want to let me know like if that resonates, just I don't want to go down the wrong. You have chronic issues. Okay. Um, it almost feels like you're taking on too much of that just on your own. That maybe like that there isn't some um that there's maybe some support or connection around the issue that you're just not like maybe do you have like a support system for having a chronic illness? Like do you have people that you talk to about it that are also dealing with chronic illness or friends that you trust or anything like that? Not enough. I'm kind of getting this is what I'm getting from this card here. It really does feel like that you have a lot on your plate, and I know that having chronic health issues like is it's like a full-time job in a lot of cases. So that is completely um, understandable. But it feels like you're doing too much on your own, and you have been doing it that way for a long time. Probably because it's normal, and unfortunately, people that have chronic illness just socially we don't give y'all enough support. Um, so I feel like the first thing I want to say here is that part of taking care of your health maybe that you need to sort of let go of that pattern that you might have established of like maybe managing it more on your own, maybe not seeking out support with people who might relate to your issue or be able to, you know, have that mutual support with more people. It feels very, very individual in a way that it doesn't have to be. And what I'm getting from this reading is that that would actually help you health wise to have that support. Um, You've been holding off physical therapy due to the weather. That makes sense. Are you, you're in a place I'm assuming that's pretty cold. Do you have to like leave home to go to physical therapy, or is there some aspect of it that you can do without having to like deal with the weather? Because the next card I got here is the Queen of Swords in reversed. I kind of think you need to be a little bit more um, emotionally, not emotionally, more communicative and like a little bit more vulnerable in your communication, meaning not just like holding on to things on your own, not trying to like manage on your own if you don't have to. And what I'm getting here is that you don't have to, is that you don't have to. And like, it seems like you're capable. You could do a lot of self care. Yeah, you do all I can at home. Okay, good. That's great. I think that this is more about you, I think, getting yourself more support. And that can be as simple as like communicating with other people. Like I keep thinking of a support group. Do you know if there's like online support groups or anything like that that are for people with chronic illness or people maybe that have chronic illness that is the same or similar to what you have? Is that something that have access to or could have access to, because I think that might be worth looking into. And it's very like because swords are about communication. What I'm getting is that um, that you're maybe making it harder than it has to be for yourself. And of course, that's not that your chronic illness is like, your fault. You anything like that. It's not about that. It's more that things could be more enjoyable for you and easier for you if you would kind of let the guard down a little bit and maybe make some changes from how things have been, given that this isn't a new thing for you. Because the last card I got here, I'm gonna cover it up in case there's sensors. It's the Star. So this is telling me that if you were to kind of ease up on yourself and get yourself more support, that this is also going to help you restore some of the maybe exhaustion, burnout, um, intensity that may have been more present lately. Um, it's so interesting. I'm being drawn to the top of this card. If you can see, my lights are so bright here. But if you can see at the top of this card, there is like one big star, right? Sorry, I just flashed her. Um, there's one big star, and then there's like a bunch of little stars around it, right? Um, you don't have to do it on your own. It really is. I really am getting like support group type of situation or making more connections. Um, there's a very like solitary feeling to this reading that I feel like there is more, almost like more vitality that could be injected into the situation. Um, Again, if you let your guard down, if you ask for more support, if you're willing to make some changes to like what the default has become for managing your health, because it is a lot to carry on your own. Um, and it feels like also that um, like there's stuff that's bottled up from this experience. It's having chronic health issues is, as you know, like it's exhausting. I'm only speaking because I know a lot of people that have chronic health issues, and what I'm getting here is that pursuing that connection around it is going to be an emotional relief for you, and that is part of what is going to generate some hope, some connection, um, and ultimately, I think more possibilities for yourself. And I think that will actually help you in terms of your health. Like it will give you, I think, a bit of um, a better place to do all of the self care that you do from. It will be energizing in a way. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you? That's what I'm getting from this reading. The star is a very positive like card, I think, for the last card of this reading. So it really does feel like there's a way to better your situation, which is, that's what I like to see when we're doing a reading that is revolving around health. But yeah, let me know. Let me know. All right. Well, we'll just go back to that if you want to chime in at some point. Okay. I hope that was helpful. I think it looks positive to me. So like it looks like that there is improvement to be had in a positive way. So I love to see it. All right. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering. Thank you, Ren. Um, do you want to talk about Catherine O'Hara's astrology? RIP. So, if you don't know, Catherine O'Hara, where have you been? Where have you been? So, we don't have an exact birth time for Catherine O'Hara, but um, we have the rest of her charts. We kind of do like a more general reading. But um, I did remember when I first pulled up her chart, she's got an enormous amount. I was trying to make it bigger so that we could um, see it, but whatever. Okay. Um, yeah, so she's got 4 planets in Pisces. That is quite a lot. That is quite a lot of Pisces energy. So we've got the Pisces Sun, Moon. She was born just before. It looks like just before a new moon, and then she's got the Pisces Mercury Venus, and then a Sag Mars and a Gemini Jupiter, which I mean, she's extremely funny. So there's that. And then I think that the Sag Mars also comedian. And then we've got the Scorpio Mars, or I'm sorry, Scorpio Saturn here. And we've got the Libra Neptune and a Leo Pluto. Oh, and I forgot Uranus in Gemini. Wow, really interesting though, because Jupiter is pretty close to her Uranus, and it does sound like it was pretty sudden passing. Um, so yeah, I was very sad to hear that she died. I think she is just like one of those actors who has been working forever and is in so many different things, and she's like done a lot of voice work. Like, if you look at her credits and stuff, there's just like an enormous amount of voice work. Like I was seeing people watching The Nightmare Before Christmas. They didn't even realize that Catherine O'Hara is like the voice of Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas, which is kind of wild. But she's in Beetlejuice, like she's in all of these things that Home Alone, like we watched growing up. And then of course, like more recently, she did Schitt's Creek, which I mean, she, Best in Show, like all of these movies that she has done. Just an amazing comedian. Um, Amazing Canadian also. I didn't find out until like a few years ago that like a bunch of these actors that I like were Canadian. I had no idea. Like, no idea. No idea. I did not know. I don't think I knew till like the Schitt's Creek era. Yeah, I had no idea. I was these secret Canadians to me. No fucking clue. And I'm actually usually pretty good at keeping tabs on Canadians because I'm so weird like that. I'm so fascinated by like any kind of microculture or other culture, even though like I feel like Canadian culture we overlook because we think it must not be that different than American culture. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, guys. It's different. So I'm always really fascinated by things like that. And I'm like, oh my God, she was Canadian the whole time. She was Canadian the whole time. I had no idea. Um, but yeah, I think she is incredibly funny. So she's obviously an actor, like a performer. She's been around forever and ever and ever. And I will say that like Pisces energy it can really make, not always, but it can really, really make for um, incredible actors because the energy in and of itself is like so immersive that it allows people to like for her, she probably could easily like kind of vibe into the mindset of the characters that she was playing. This also makes her even more like she's been a part of a lot of really good like ensembles. Like for example, in Beetlejuice, she's working with some really incredible actors, and yet she still is, such a scene stealer, even though she was not. I never got the impression that she was like intentionally a scene stealer or that she has like a bad attitude or anything like that. But she was just one of those actors that like if they're in a scene, you're like, I want to look at her, she's just that good. But I think with all of that Pisces energy that she has, it's it really does make for like somebody that can fit into an ensemble really organically and almost like wordlessly. And so I remember the first time that I looked up her astrology and I saw that Pisces, I was like, first of all, holy shit, a lot of Pisces. Um, and also it just like, if you know the character of Moira Rose, like I feel like she just like tapped into all of that Pisces energy for that character majorly, because that character is so out of this world and eccentric and almost to the point of being disconnected from reality. And so, one of the other really cool things about Pisces energy like this is that she probably could tap into just about whatever character she wanted to, because it is so fluid, and it is an energy of connection that I find that a lot of people that have like Pisces energy, or especially like a Pisces moon or a Pisces Venus or a Pisces Mercury, given other factors, like they can be some of the most seamless performances. Another Pisces that has been killing it lately, if you've watched, where it's Canada night tonight, I guess. If you've watched Heated Rivalry yet, has anybody in the chat watched Heated Rivalry yet? I know one of you has. I know one of you has. So if you haven't watched Heated Rivalry, it is about a Canadian hockey player. I know you have. It's about a Canadian hockey player. Okay. So there's another hockey player. It's two hockey players, and honestly, Burgundy, if you like if you like a good romance and you like fun romantic stuff, I would highly recommend it. I have watched it more times than I care to say at this point, because um I like to put on things I've already watched when I'm like working on something, and so it's been kind of a comfort show for me. But I just want to say the other guy in that's not playing a Canadian is playing a Russian character. He is a Pisces, and I was just saying this because if you watch this show, or you have watched this show, you're saving for date night at home. Oh, that'll be a good date night. It's hard to be single and watch this stuff. I was like just watching it by myself, like must be nice. Must be nice. I am going on a date this weekend with a new person. So that should be exciting. Maybe I will have somebody to watch Heated Rivalry with. But you will watch this and probably be like, oh, who's this interesting Russian actor? And then you will Google and you will find that the actor is not Russian. He doesn't speak Russian at all. He's just a Pisces. He's a Pisces who became Russian in his bones for this role. He doesn't speak Russian. He's from Texas. Okay? The way that I looked this up, found out this information after being like, "Oh my god, this Russian guy, he's so good." I was like, who is this adorable Russian man? He's not fucking Russian. And in fact, he was on set speaking Russian, having a thick Russian accent, which he has in the show. Apparently, somebody working on the show that was Russian started talking to him, speaking to him in Russian, thinking he was Russian. He's not Russian. He fooled Russians, thinking like that's how good. So back to Catherine O'Hara. I'm just saying that sometimes when you see a performer and they have it, and you're like, how the fuck do they like? It's so seamless. It's so you can't see any of the cracks. You don't notice. It's so immersive, and it might be because they have some Pisces energy. And I feel like Catherine O'Hara is so seamless. Even in her most eccentric, weirdest characters, she's completely believable. Like she is that character while she is inhabiting that character. And I think that's one of the most remarkable things about like her as a performer, and one of the reasons why like I was really sad on Sunday when I saw this news. And it was actually I had been watching Schitt's Creek like a year ago, and I literally was like I looked it up because when we were processing that this was happening, I looked up in our group chat, and like I literally have been like, when Catherine O'Hara dies, I'm gonna be upset, and then it happened, and I was like, yep, I'm fucking upset. I am really upset. Um, so it sucks. We lost an incredible actor. She was only 71, which sucks. And it sounds like it was in a unpleasant way, to be honest. So rest in peace, Catherine. The other thing I will say about her astrology is that she's got that Sag Mars, and she's got that it's opposite her Jupiter in Gemini. And yeah, I just that, and then it's squaring her sun. So she just has this like this incredible, like, she was designed to be a seamless comedian. like that is what that whole situation there is giving me, which is pretty awesome. I think that she did what she came here to do, you know? Like, I think she was kind of born to do that. I don't know, like, I don't know much about how she got into acting. Um okay, so she started her comedy career as part of Second City Toronto. Interesting, interesting. She was the sixth of seven children. I did not know that. There you go. Okay, we got a Canadian in the chat who probably could school me all up and down. I mean, okay, tell me this. Is in Canada, is it like I think you guys should get rid of the Queen and like just have Catherine O'Hara. Does that make sense? Is that how she's regarded there? That's how I view her. I think when you're the sixth of seven children, you gotta get it together. You gotta stand out. She got the highest honor. I think you guys should put her in charge. I think she should be the queen. Get rid of the queen. Replace her with Catherine O'Hara. But I think if you're the sixth of seven children, like that's you probably develop a sense of humor. I would imagine. I would imagine. So she started Second City. Amazing. So she's been like, I don't know. It doesn't sound like she's had other jobs. I don't know if she has had other jobs. She's born in 54. So she basically started her comedy career at age 20. The Order of Canada, or whatever that means, they get a pin, like the ice out. Martin Short wears this all the time. I forget that Martin Short is Canadian. Thank you. I need to step it up in terms of my Canadian list. Apparently, I'm not my tabs. I'm not keeping good enough tabs on y'all. Is what I'm learning. There's so many Canadians here in Hollywood. And now Canada is usurping us with entertainment because our entertainment industry is taking such a fucking nosedive. There are so many. They're sneaky funny. Yes, I think, and I wonder if Catherine O'Hara was not like an American comedian, if she wouldn't have had a different flavor to her. You know what I mean? Basically, anyone good and wholesome is from Canada. I don't know. I think that some Canadians might argue that point, but I think that compared to Americans, in many cases, you are right. Because I'm wondering, like, if somebody like a Catherine O'Hara had been an American, I don't know, she might have been more obnoxious. Like, I feel like I was saying, she's such a scene stealer, but not in an intentional way and not in a like a hostile way. I just feel like she was just naturally very talented and like fun to watch. But I wonder if she had been an American, that if that would have been more abrasive and less humble. Just saying. I don't know. There's no way I can prove that to you, but I do wonder, given our humble American culture, our humble American, way of being. I do think that there's a lot that kind of lends itself to, like, as funny as she is, there is that. I think that Pisces energy in her chart also gives her like a. Mm, it doesn't necessarily have to be like center stage to be a part of something. You know what I mean? Like it's not the front and center energy that like Aries energy or maybe Leo energy. It's not that it's not as much a part of Pisces energy. It is more comfortable being in the mix than it is necessarily needing to be like out front and center. So I think that she got some help from that as well. But again, like all of this is really pointing towards like somebody that is incredibly funny and like just can slip into whatever fantasy that she really wants to. And I think that that kind of shows in her work. Um I wish we had a birth time because I can go a lot more in depth with this stuff. But we do not. Maybe that is something like can the Canadian government like get on that? Can we get a birth time? Anything? Hello? I also think that like some of the stuff she has going on, like with the Neptune in Libra, that probably also helped. And what's funny too is that you hacking to find you please hack to find Catherine O'Hara's birth time. Having such a big concentration of Pisces energy like that, you might think that she was somebody that was like too out there because sometimes if you have a heavy amount of Pisces energy, you can seem really out there. But I almost wonder if that given her career, she could channel that part of herself into that. But at the same time, when we see this heavy concentration like that, sometimes they can actually, it almost kind of flips on its head in a certain way, and it can actually make somebody a lot more detail oriented, which is counterintuitive. But I just don't think you have a career from starting at age 20 and get as far as she got. I mean, like she had over 50 years of work, you know what I mean? I don't think you make it that far if you're too loopy and off the planet the way that, you know, you might think that a ton of Pisces energy could make somebody really disconnected and flighty or like, you know, unreliable in some ways. And I actually feel like it was the opposite for her. So that is an interesting thing too. Like I really don't think that she would have if she was, you know, an extreme out of control Pisces. I don't think that that would have been the case. So I think in her case probably it's she's probably more detail oriented, probably a lot more um methodical than you might think for a Pisces. So that's also interesting when we see that big concentration of energy like that. And those are all personal planets. It's not those are not outer planets at all. It's four personal planets. So like Pisces queen for sure. Um but yeah, this one just like it hit me hard. It hit me hard. I really respect Catherine O'Hara's work, and um, yeah, I was hoping that she would be with us longer. Um, but yeah, so there's that. But that was the main stuff I wanted to talk about tonight. We also, it's interesting. I find that the timing, I'm going back to our TikTok conversation from earlier. Um, yeah, it was a tough one, especially given everything else going on. It's like, ugh, man, Catherine O'Hara, of course. There's not a lot of like celebrities at this point that I, you know, would be really like torn up about, you know, if they weren't around anymore. Like I don't have that. I've lost a lot of that like respect for celebrities that we're talking about at the beginning. It's like I just don't, it's just not as important to me as it never really was super important to me, but it's even less important to me now. And, but I think given everything else going on and I don't know, she was just somebody that was because I think she was in so many things that she was just like always there, you know. And I think when people become sort of like fixtures like that, it's even harder when they do finally go. You got upset with Robin Williams and Betty White, yeah, yeah. I Robin Williams was very disturbing because given like how he passed, it was very sad. And I think I did feel better when I found out that he had some like health issues that maybe like it still was really sad, but it made me like understand it a little bit more. And but it was still just like I think just hearing about the whole thing and thinking about his daughter and like that really made me really really sad. Um I mean it's still sad to think about, to be honest, you know. But I mean Betty White, I think it is sad. But she, yeah, we did grow up with them. I don't know. Like it is really sad to me when people get up there and then they go. But I guess for Betty White, I didn't feel as sad just because like she had like an incredible life and a really long one. Um yeah. Yeah. It was it cuz at first it was so like it was so such an extreme ending to his life, uh and then I think getting more context it made it make a little more sense. Um you know, it's still very sad. Um but but yeah, it's never easy I think to lose people that even though we don't necessarily know them on a personal level, like they have a role in our lives. Oh, you sobbed the entire day over Betty White. Oh, you were sensing impending doom. Yeah, understandable. I mean, I think, you know, if you feel how you feel and I think that there is a lot of room to mourn people in different ways, especially like even if you don't know them, you know, like even if they weren't like a part of your life, these people they're symbols in our lives in a certain way and like they symbolize part times in our life or like experiences that we had or connections that we made with other people or with their work, and so it's like it feels very complex in some ways like when these people die because it's a little bit different than like somebody you know dying and having that like personal connection mourning. I feel like we can have a lot more judgment. Yeah, it's extremely unusual for you to be upset like that over a celeb. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. And then every once in a while, it's like somebody. There was the kid from Euphoria that really fucked me up too. Um, I really liked him, and I actually don't like that show much. It disturbs me, and for reasons. But there was that guy and I really liked him, and I actually was one of the reasons that I continued watching a show I didn't even like. It was like I liked this actor a lot and then he died. And that was he was very young too, so it was just really sad. I get sad about things like that, like um people being gone too soon. Angus, yeah, that's right. He was so talented, you know. It was just so sad to see somebody that young. You love Dan Levy's statement. He was so gentle in setting a boundary about how much parasocial energy he could accept while he acknowledged her impact on the world. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Like it's interesting and I'm kind of glad that we're out of time like talking about celebrity and stuff like this. And I think that's part of what's happening right now, and perhaps I think it was a big part of this Leo full moon is like this relationship, like re-examining this relationship that we have with people who are in a different kind of sphere than us, right? It's like we're acknowledging that now in an age where you can have deep connections with people you never meet, like what does that mean for us, right? And so I think we're in this phase of kind of figuring out more boundaries around like what should those different spheres that we live in look like, and should we elevate some above the rest of us essentially, right? And I think that a lot of people, that might be a reason why some people like have parasocial energy in the way that they do, is because like they're almost like bringing down these celebrities to their own level maybe, or maybe elevating themselves up or something. And it's like, oh, you know, like we are the same, we are connected in some way. And so it's kind of tricky because it's like I understand that people that have more of a platform and like fans and stuff, it can be really scary, I think, for those people. And I've seen a lot of and heard about a lot of scary things happening in those situations, like that people get really extreme and inappropriate with those things. And I do feel bad for that. But I think we're figuring out like what a healthier version of all this stuff looks like, because I don't think what we have now is really working for us collectively. Um, and I think like we were saying, if you imagine somebody that is crossing boundaries after somebody is mourning someone that they knew personally, while you're mourning someone that you knew parasocially, uh, it's not a good thing for the person that is being parasocial to be like encouraged in that behavior, I don't think. Hello, we've got a Mackenzie. Mackenzie is my first Twitch subscriber. Shout out to Mackenzie. Shout out to Mackenzie. She's got the special emojis. A lot of fan stan culture is really scary, even if it did start innocently with them feeling seen by someone else's art. Yeah. Yeah, and I think like we could talk a lot about like think the emojis. I put some special emojis in there for our Twitch subscribers. Also, if you're a free subscriber to the channel, you should have some special emojis in there too. So you don't have to be paid subscriber to get your special Twitch emojis. Just saying. But you get more if you sub. And speaking of subscriptions, also if you're not a Patreon subscriber, memberships for February for the first month, if you're a new subscriber, are 50% off. So happy February. We're doing discounts in February. And then we've got a really lovely discount happening for sponsors in Patreon. If you would like to get a relationship reading, which is where I look at two charts together. So it's like you and your boyfriend or you and your sister. I will look at those charts together and read your relationship, how you function as individuals, and then how you come together as like a unit. So that's that. Also, we have Petty Astrology Club this Sunday. If you would like a place to learn more astrology, more personal astrology, that's happening Sunday at 5 p.m. 4 p.m. Pacific, sorry. 5 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow is Petty Astrology Live. I think I will also dual stream that, but it will still be sponsors get the replay. So there's that too. Stans scare me, especially the ones that harass the celebs' romantic partners. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, we could talk a lot about like, it's bad for the celebrity or the influencer or whoever it is for, like, obviously it's bad to have those things happen to you and those people like develop an obsession with you and cross boundaries with you. Yes, obviously it's bad for those people. But it's also bad for the person that is living in delusion, that is feeding that, obsession. And you know what I mean? Like it's not like good behavior. It's not healthy behavior. This is it's not good for them either. So I think like we could think more about like, yeah, we shouldn't be feeding this impulse that some people have to take things a little too far and to become too obsessive. It leaves so little room for people who can love you back. Yeah, it's like, it kind of divorces you from your own reality. And I do think that a lot of fan culture and stan culture that I see, like people seem terribly like lonely in some sense. Like if you're that obsessed with a like Club Chalamet. Do you guys know about Club Chalamet? Do you guys know about Club Chalamet? Should we talk Club Chalamet? One of the funniest, scariest things on the internet. Do you guys know about this? Club Chalamet is a fan account on both Twitter and Instagram for the American French actor Timothée Chalamet, run by Simone Cromer. And I want you to take a look. You're a Supernatural fan and things get weird. Yeah, I kind of love like niche online culture. Like I don't love that this is happening, but because it's happening, I'm fascinated by, it's kind of like cults, like that kind of a feeling where I'm like, why are we doing this? It's my Scorpio. I'm like, what are we doing here? So this 59-year-old woman, huge fan of Timothy Chalamet. So she started this Twitter account 2018 after Call Me by Your Name. Shout out Call Me by Your Name. I've heard that she might be moving on. Maybe she might be obsessed with Connor Story from Heated Rivalry, who is not Russian. We've established. Yeah. So it started as to create a space for older fans of his, which is really kind of disturbing because wait, Timothy Chalamet I think he's 30 years old right now. So this was like 10 years. I don't know. He's just really young compared to her. And yes, her. That was a significant comma. I think I understood what you meant. I think I knew that you meant not literally. Literally. But she's very obsessive, and like one of the things that she's known for is she became viral in 2023 after several controversial comments she made about Chalamet's girlfriend Kylie Jenner, which sparked discussions regarding parasocial relationships and Stan Twitter. Since then, a reaction to content involving the couple has become an internet meme. She's also an anti-ageism activist. Okay. And so she was profiled recently in the Wall Street Journal, and I saw some criticism from that because they were like, this woman has an unhealthy obsession with a man who's like half her age. She posts weird, like she's running this Stan account. And I guess it is ageist in a way. It is ageist in a way to be like, you're a little too old to be posting like that. But yeah, like I don't know what to say. It's like, is there a cutoff for like you're too old to be posting like that? It is ageist. I will admit it is ageist, but I'm also like, you're too old to be posting like that. Somebody dumped her 30-year-old pretend boyfriend. So sad. But yeah, the Wall Street Journal did a profile of her for some fucking reason. For some reason. And people were upset. They were like, why are we encouraging? You'd think you would have more to do by then, but she's 59. So, maybe this year, maybe when she turns 60, she'll be like, I'm over this. But you know what? Timothy Chalamet is probably gonna, like, who's the Oscar favorite this year? I can't remember. Let me see. Let's look. Who do we think is going to win the Oscar this year? Actually, I should look at Timmy's transits. Because she's going to lose her shit. She's going to lose her mind. If she's going to be like, I knew it. I knew it the whole time. I knew it. That's my boy. Okay, so let's see. Best actor. Here's the noms. I'll look with everyone else. So Timmy's on the top. He is really good in that movie. I will say that. I was kind of like, I'm gonna be real. I think he could win. Should we look at his transits? Do we want to look at Timothy Chalamet's transits to see if we can see what's up? It's so funny. I know that I normally, like, most of my live streams have been about current events, so I know this is like a hard left turn for me, but I can't just talk about current events on these streams. I don't think anybody would like that. So I'm trying to talk about other things I like too. Or maybe just things I actually like. I don't necessarily like the current events, but they do play a role, so we do talk about them. But yeah, we're branching out. I'm surprised I don't have Timothy's birth info in my software. Let's see. Okay. Well, thankfully, Luna has me covered. Not even an ad, they just do. Timothée Chalamet. Okay. So the Oscars, I know this because I might be rescheduling an event because it's conflicts with the Oscars, so I actually know when this is. Let's just call it, let's do 6 p.m. Oh boy. I wonder if he's gonna win. Hmm. The other, like, I think, my thinking, I haven't looked at Leonardo DiCaprio's astrology, is probably, I think it's either Timmy or Leonardo DiCaprio, my guess. Let me ask my Oscar friend. He will know. He's a fucking freak. Who is going to win Best Actor this year? I could see it going to Timothy, and I think with his astrology, it's not out of the question. Uh, at all. Yeah, I think so. I think it could be. So I think this woman's gonna lose her shit. I think this woman's gonna lose her shit. Um, yeah, and I know obviously he wants it really bad. He always talks about it. Like the other thing about his astrology, look at this shit. He is a Capricorn, like to the bone. And remember we were talking about Catherine O'Hara, and I was like, all that Pisces is helping her out. Check it out. We got Timothy Chalamet. He's got a Saturn Pisces. He's also got his Pisces moon. I think those things help him tremendously. But the other thing about it is that he's got all this Capricorn here. So he's like a consummate professional, and he's obviously made it very clear that he wants to achieve. So Capricorn, he's like, I want to be one of the greats. Like we know, you are a Capricorn. I know. But yeah, Sun, Mars, Mercury, Neptune, and Uranus. And then he's got that freaky little Aquarius Venus. Um, but yeah, Club Chalamet. Club Chalamet, they're out of control. There's no photo of her, which is sad. She works in healthcare. Oh my god, her house in Altadena burned down. That's crazy. Oh my god, she is referred to as Miss Club by her fans. I'm not on Twitter anymore. Um God, I don't even know, like I didn't even know she was on Instagram. But yeah, she's definitely like an instance of like a really weird uh fan culture thing. Like yeah, it's let's see, Club Chalamet. There's a Club Chalamet now. Superfan account in support of the Superfan account in support of two-time Oscar nominated actor. So it's kind of like becoming a meme. Yes, I think that they're memifying because Club Chalamet kind of is a meme. There are a lot of people that kind of were following Club Chalamet because the posts that she made were so like bizarre, and I think that's part of why we know what Club Chalamet is. Like she's just really weird, and so they started like memeing the meme. Um, but yeah, it says the bio for Club Chalamet. I'm Simone. This is a Gen X LA-based superfan account in support of three-time Oscar-nominated actor and producer Timothy Chalamet. They're also on Substack. On Substack. So you can get that intel wherever you'd like. I don't know what she's talking about. I'm so excited to be here at Substack. I was invited by a rep from Substack after she learned about my shadow ban. So she thinks she's shadow banned. Is that something that's really happening? Are they shadow banning Timothy Chalamet fan accounts? What makes the shadow ban at X more offensive is that I pay $120 a year to be verified, and that verified premium enrollment allowed me to have the blue check mark and write longer posts there. Wow. Elon is cracking down. He doesn't want people that are into Club Chalamet to be finding success. Also, maybe it's not necessarily pop culture, but have we seen the bad things that are happening to Elon Musk? Please, have we? Have we seen? Once again, gonna try not to go too deep into the Epstein stuff. But yeah, I love he's my like if there was like a Club Chalamet for like haters of Elon Musk, that would be me. That's why I left Twitter. His humiliation. Yes. I'm loving this for him because for those who don't know, Club Chalamet, I'm sorry. For those that don't know, we do. We do have Elon Musk's chart, and I have looked at it before. We can pull that up. I fucking hate him. Let's pull it up because I haven't looked at it in a minute. I haven't looked at it since the French. By the way, the French are on fire this week. They are coming after two. I think they are dual citizens of Israel, France, who they are accused of assisting in the genocide, essentially, like assisting the effort of the genocide. And why do I have two? I don't know why. Sometimes my software will double the charts that I have, and I don't know why. So if you've heard about, I fucking hate him too. Like he's like, ugh, ugh. So we've probably all heard about the horrible shit that is happening with Grok and like the CSAM that is being generated, inappropriate images of women being generated using their AI. And I think part of the reason why we're seeing AI companies turning more towards pornography is because their business models, like the cost of building AI, it's not a huge profit maker. And so, in order to get the kind of margins that they are looking for, they're like, "Oh, we can make stuff for perverts," and that's what's happening. So, love to see it. I love that other countries actually sometimes seem to care about child abuse. So, the X offices were raided in France as prosecutors investigate child abuse images and deep fakes. French prosecutors raided the offices of social media platform X on Tuesday as part of a preliminary investigation into allegations that include spreading child sexual abuse images and deepfakes. They have also summoned billionaire owner Elon Musk for questioning. X and Musk's artificial intelligence company xAI also face intensifying scrutiny from Britain's data privacy regulator, which opened formal investigations into how they handled personal data when they developed and deployed Musk's artificial intelligence chatbot Grok. Grok, which was built by xAI and is available through X, sparked global outrage last month after it pumped out a torrent of sexualized, non-consensual deepfake images in response to requests from X users. The French investigation was opened in January last year by the prosecutor's cybercrime unit, the Paris prosecutor's office said in a statement. It is looking into alleged complicity in possessing and spreading pornographic images of minors, sexually explicit deepfakes, denial of crimes against humanity, and manipulation of automated data processing system as part of an organized group, among other charges. So yeah, prosecutors have asked Musk and former CEO Linda Yaccarino to attend voluntary interviews on April 20th. So we'll look at that. Employees of X have also been summoned that same week to be heard as witnesses, the statement said. So this is fascinating because I think that they probably knew that there was problems with the AI and what it was capable of. And my guess is that maybe concerns that were voiced about such a thing were not listened to. And I suspect we might find something out about that. So as we are, here in the United States, like, it's a free for all. The tech overlords are, doing their damnedest to try to shape the world even more to their liking. And the United States government, obviously, the federal government is not really interested in restraining these people or putting guardrails on these people, right? I think that one of the things that we can look at is that other countries are going to have a lot more problems with things like this than the United States government does. And one of the things I've noticed for these larger companies is that sometimes, like, for example, Apple was trying to do some bullshit with their cables. Like they were trying to make us buy more cables to plug our electronics in. And I think it was the European Union that was like, you need to standardize this, and or you can't sell your shit here, right? And then so they were like, oh, okay, so we're just going to do it that way for the whole world because they're not going to manufacture everything separately for the EU. So sometimes I think when other countries put guardrails in place, sometimes that can benefit others. But given that this is a AI slash website, it might be that they have different rules in different places, or they continue having different rules in different places because usually there are different internet laws in different places. It would be nice if the American government gave two shits about the mostly women and children that are being negatively impacted by this. But I won't hold my breath. Uh, in a post on its own service denying the allegations, X railed against the raid on its Paris office as an abusive act of law enforcement theater designed to achieve illegitimate political objectives rather than advance legitimate law enforcement goals rooted in the fair and impartial administration of justice. I just think that's really rich, given everything. At this stage, the conduct of the investigation is based on a constructive approach with the aim of ultimately ensuring that the X platform complies with French law as it operates on the national territory, the prosecutor's statement said. European Union police agency Europol is supporting the French authorities in this, Europol spokesperson Jan Opgen Orth. What are these names? I actually feel like when I read articles to you guys, I'm being pranked. Like the names are just like Jan Opgen Orth. For real? French authorities opened their investigation after reports from a French lawmaker alleging that biased algorithms on X likely distorted the functioning of an automated data processing system. It expanded after Grok-generated posts that allegedly denied the Holocaust, a crime in France, and spread sexually explicit deepfakes, the statement said. Oh my god. It's just like horrific. Grok wrote in a widely shared post in French that gas chambers at the Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp were designed for disinfection with Zyklon B against typhus rather than for mass murder, language long associated with Holocaust denial. In later posts on X, the chatbot reversed itself and acknowledged that its earlier reply was wrong, saying it had been deleted and pointed to historical evidence that Zyklon B was used to kill more than 1 million people in Auschwitz gas chambers. Yeah, that is actually so wild. So it wasn't even the CSAM that was starting this, apparently. It was praising Adolf Hitler. I wonder if this has anything to do with didn't XAI merge this week? SpaceX XAI deal is for fueling merger speculation. Like, why are we doing that? So this happened on Tuesday. It's really interesting. Just the timing of it. It's not related, but um maybe it. Well, I mean, I guess maybe they could have had prior intel potentially, but um they just had this major merger. I'll put that up here too. Um I my initial thought when I saw this story was that uh again, I'm thinking about AI companies. They're really not. It's not a huge like profitable thing. That's partly why they talked it up and they got all these companies to invest all this money in AI, saying that they're going to be able to fire workers and save a bunch of money. And that hasn't really turned out to be true, which is one of the reasons why when I started talking about AI, I was like, give it a minute. Because, yeah, there's some really negative things that are already happening with AI, really, really negative things, including warfare, which we don't talk about enough. But, um, but I think that the AI is going to take all our jobs thing is was way ahead of the game, and possibly not going to be how it goes. Like AI is not in anywhere. It's not close to being like a human at this point. Human level logic. They still make a lot of mistakes, and so my thought was like maybe this is something to wrap the success of SpaceX over XAI in some way. We'll see. We'll see if that bears out. Um, but yeah, let's see what's going on with Elon's transits right now. Oh boy. I forgot we have like he's a Cancer rising, I'm a Cancer rising. But we also have our nodes in the same signs, which is kind of funny, and houses as well. Kind of funny. We're just like each other. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously not. So we've got the south node moving towards his moon, which is interesting. The moon is on his Pluto right now. And the sun is on his north node. Well, we've got Saturn moving in his ninth house. That's pretty funny. I was cracking up the guy that gave his AI agent access to everything and told it to make him money. It bought a bunch of courses that influencers made for thousands of dollars. Oh my God. Yeah. That's the thing is that I think people really overestimate like what's happening. And because like I know somebody who works at a company that they got AI and they were like, "Okay, so now we need our employees to figure out how we use this AI in our day to day." And so they're like forcing their employees to learn how to use AI, and so they're starting to use it for everything. And then they're realizing like, "Oh, this isn't always accurate. Why are we why are we being forced to use this?" So they're like trying to justify this investment that they made in AI because they made the investment. And it's just funny. There's people like that that are literally like, they think that it knows everything. And if you just ask your question to ChatGPT, then you will get the answers you see. It's like an oracle almost. It's like, oh, what can I show you, my child, that will lead you into a hustle and grind future. Like it's those kind of people too, the people that are like rise and grind, like that are like, yeah, rise and grind and like ask ChatGPT how to make your first million. Just funny. Mm-hmm. I'm eating, for those curious, nobody asked. Um, these are tamarind candies. I'm a huge tamarind fan, and they're like kind of spicy. Okay. I think that I think that he has made some errors in how he has gone about all this shit. And I don't think other countries are going to be as forgiving that he made the porn machine that he made. And then probably tried to cover it up. Because other people were bringing this to their attention pretty quickly and they tried to brush it under the rug. So I like where Saturn is right now. Because there are going to be consequences for the laws he broke. And this is a man, I mean, he's a rich kid, so he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And he certainly behaves like somebody, like a lot of these people do, that then think they're going to not see consequences for things. He thinks he's super incredibly smart. Like if you look into the Epstein files, right? Yeah, it's so bad. Straight to jail. That is perfect. The Squid Bob. He thinks that he is going to continue getting away with things, and I don't think that that is going to be the case. I just don't think it's going to be the case. Now, for those of you who listen to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction episode that I put out for sponsors, something I didn't talk about in that, this Saturn-Neptune conjunction is happening in his 9th house, which is also its legal matters. And so if this is happening for you there, this does not mean, unless you are operating a CSAM bot of some kind, maybe then yes. But I think for Elon, there might be a new wave of problems coming towards him, more lawsuits, more legal troubles. Now, he is extraordinarily wealthy and resourced. So, lawsuit for him is not going to be as devastating as it is for us, but it may impact his business's ability to operate with the level of impunity that they have been. And I would love to see that. I also think, let's see. I don't know. I think this is going to be a bigger issue for him. And I think I've seen other countries that have also started investigations. So I really don't think France is going to be like the only one. However, we just saw him. Yeah, he is so hateable. People all over the world have probably been waiting for an opportunity to ruin his damn life. Yeah. He deserves it, I think. Look, one of the biggest things and one of the reasons why I will talk about the Epstein stuff more is that we've just learned that a lot of these rich people sit and talk about how useless and stupid and worthless the rest of us are. And that's part of like the eugenics is they're like, oh, we are superior, right? And that's one of the reasons why Elon Musk needs to impregnate so many people, right? So he's a white supremacist. Like he is somebody that espouses white supremacist ideologies and replacement theory. These are white supremacist, like we need to keep the white race alive ideologies. And no surprise because motherfucker is from apartheid South Africa. And somehow we don't talk about that because, he's a fucking genius or whatever. And that's the mythology. He's been very effective at creating this mythology about himself because people that barely know anything about him think he's very smart. For no reason. Literally no reason. Just because he said it and because he acts like it and because he does space stuff and computer stuff. So they're like, oh, well, he must know computer. He must be computer. Everything computer. And no, he's actually a fucking dipshit. His own father his father did this interview. And I believe he called him a word that we shouldn't say, like that his son was so inept that people really didn't think he was very smart when he was younger. And and yeah, and like you look into his history, and is he's not the genius that he presents himself as. He is a rich kid. He was a rich kid that had a head start in life, and then was able to parlay that into all of the shit that he has now. And so he's very fixated on his superior genetics, and that's why he has all these kids with different women. He inseminates them. It's a whole thing. We've seen a bunch of these women, and there's also women I'm sure we don't know about, right? But he believes that procreating in this way is part of him uh, spreading his great genetics over the planet. Like, he really believes in that, and he puts a lot of money and effort in that direction. And I think I think that with the Epstein files, I think that my hope is that more people become aware of the types of conversations that the wealthiest, the billionaire class, are having about the rest of the world, their desire to do eugenics. Yeah, the only thing good has come from him is Vivian. I agree. And I can't stand him. But he has this value. Like, he wants to make a bunch of special kids that are just like him, and that fits entirely, like, neatly in, if you look at these emails that they were exchanging with each other. Not even just Elon, just other people that he wanted to associate with, he wanted to socialize with. Like, he wanted to be invited to the island. He was begging to go to the island, right? And so the kinds of people that he associates with, maybe they're not out there saying the things that he's saying, but there is this common thread of, we're better than regular people. Therefore, we should be making decisions about how we are shaping the world to disempower these inferior people. And my hope is that regular people, this becomes widely known. We have to stop being billionaire bootlickers, because, like, that's really what it is. It's like, do you have a kink for worshiping people that want to destroy you, that would destroy you if it made Grok happy for another hour? Like, they don't care about us or our well-being or us living happier or more fulfilled lives. They want to tell us what we should be doing. Um, and I feel like that is embodied very well by Elon Musk. Like, he radiates that type of energy, that superiority. Um, and I think that I think that the more information that we find out and spread, like, the less likable these people are going to be. And we just kind of need to get to the point where the average person, excuse me, stop supporting people like this as they accumulate I mean, he's almost a trillionaire. He's an extraordinarily wealthy. And he is a big part of why Donald Trump won the last election. He owns one of the biggest platforms in the world to communicate with other people. I think he definitely weaponized that for the election. Then also, he was like raffling $1 million if people would, vote for Trump, or whatever he was doing, where he was leveraging his power and money to get the outcome that he wanted, so that he could go play in the White House and steal a bunch of data and do Doge, and actually cause a lot of damage to the federal government, and steal data and resources from the government. So I don't think that it's going to come from the United States anytime soon that we see justice, but he's interfering with other countries' processes too. So it may be that other countries are taking up with him for some semblance of restraint or justice, because he's going to do this in other places if he's not. I mean, I'm sure he already is. trying to exercise control over it. And like I think he also really wants to be culturally influential, which is why he runs his mouth on Twitter all the time as well. I think he wants people to like look at him and think he's cool. And I know there are some people out there that think that. Um, but I think that he's kind of just preaching to the choir. I don't think people that are um he's just not that likable. He's just not that likable. And I think when especially like Americans look at him, I don't know. He's he's not like a good old boy, you know. Like it was kind of surprising to me to see as many people that were Republicans being like, "Oh yeah, Elon Musk," because he is an elitist. He is so condescending that it's very clear that like he doesn't actually care about regular people. Anyways, it is to me. Um, but I think I think that the legal stuff I don't think is gonna go away, and I do think that he probably um, I think he probably didn't set himself up well in that situation because I don't think that they addressed it appropriately, and I think that's probably gonna hurt them. So I don't know that we'll see what the outcomes of these situations are, but uh, yeah, doesn't look great for Elon. I'm gonna look at the 20th, which is I think when they said I think they said that's when he was supposed to be, let's see, right? They said the 20th. Voluntary interviews. So I wonder if he will even show up to these voluntary interviews. Um, well, oh, it's funny because I think people will be paying a lot of attention. I do think he's gonna get his shit rocked a little bit though soon. That doesn't mean that he's gonna like lose his job or anything like that, but there might be some shifts in how things happen, and I hope that it's negative for him, but we'll see. I think ultimately with his status in his company, it's like they're not going to get rid of him unless he's like costing the shareholders too much money. And I really think that what happened with Elon Musk and Donald Trump was a like they literally like I think they did have some falling out or disagreement, which when when they started getting cozy, I was already like they're going to fight. They're going to break up. Like no shit. And they had already done it before. I did a whole episode in Patreon about Elon and Donald Trump, and I said in that I was like, I don't think that this is gonna last. They've already fought and broken up before, and then they came back together to do the election shit. So, you know, I think they still are in contact with each other. I actually think that him leaving the government had more to do with um, the backlash of the Doge stuff and trying to take some of the heat off of it, and also his company. I think it was kind of a let's get you out of here so that we can continue the mission essentially. Not that they didn't really fight, but I do think that a lot of it was optics. I do think a lot of it was optics. Um, yeah, I mean, look at I mean, just like his ninth house is absolutely lit up. So, um, I don't know, like if he shows up or not. I think they're gonna come at him pretty hard, as they should. As they should. Like, what the fuck did you just do? Why did you unleash this on the world and do all this shit and make a little Holocaust denial machine that's illegal in France? So I hope that Ashley St. Clair lady gets to keep her kids away from him. Yeah. I think, I I would not put it past him just in terms of how he, I mean, like, look, talking about his daughter, Vivian, he just basically disowned his daughter because she's trans. So I don't see why he wouldn't disown another kid. You know what I mean? Like, he's making so many kids that I don't know that he necessarily has, like, do you think he's capable of like caring for all those kids, like in an emotional way? I don't know. I think somebody that can abandon their daughter like that because they're trans probably can get rid of a few other ones too. Um, and look, that was another thing that is very apparent in the Epstein files. A lot of the accusations that are being made about the type of activities that these ultra powerful and ultra wealthy people were engaging in, um, they don't care, I don't think, about, like, I think they have a really, they can separate their compassion from, if they have any, from whatever it is that they're doing, because they're being accused of doing some really horrific things, or talking about doing really horrific things, or talking about disgusting things. So I don't know why he would be any different. You know what I mean? Please let me come to the island. And then he's like, he had his lawyer write up a statement, it looks like, to respond on X or whatever the fuck. Um, but yeah, I think he's got a lot of attention coming to him around this. So I love that for him. I love that for him. And I think it will be really uncomfortable. Whatever is happening, I think it's going to be really, really uncomfortable for him. So hopefully, I don't know that it will, but I mean, I would hope that it would impact his stock numbers if they're like, oh, actually, um, this is maybe having a pedophile island beggar at the top of our company is maybe not the best idea for revenue, but it would have to be true. So that's the thing. The other part of like respecting the elite, so-called elite, or celebrities, again, is like, so much of it is up to us. If the masses don't respond in a way that actually impacts these people, like, stop buying Teslas, things like that. I know people that have Teslas that are like, oh, I bought this before, or like, I don't like Elon or whatever, but it's like, okay, but you're still giving Elon Musk's company money if you have these vehicles. So you got to square that away. People got to stop financing these people to the best of their ability. Stop paying for verified Twitter accounts. You know what I mean? Like, I personally think I left Twitter as soon as he got, before he even bought it, before the ink was dry, when they even were just like, when he was about to buy it, I was like, I am out. I do not like this guy. I do not trust this guy. And I don't want to be on anything that he has anything to do with. And it was actually so much worse than I even thought. It's kind of quaint to look back and think about what I was upset about now, or then, versus what I'm upset about now with him. It's like, he's so much worse. That was just like one chapter in how awful he is. And I think we might be hearing more about some old stories with him later in this year. So we'll see what comes up. But yeah. This is going to get him a lot of attention. It doesn't look like it's going to be amazing for him. And I do think it might cost him some level of status. We'll just see. Because I was hoping that we would get him to, like, following everything that he did in the U.S. government. I was hoping that there would be more continued backlash for that. But I think because he's no longer in the government, it has taken a lot more of the heat off of him from what I've seen. Like, it doesn't seem like people are as mad at him. Not that they like him now, but, there were entire protests about just him. earlier um, in 2025, and then he moved on, and then it was kind of like, well, let's move on to other things. So it's kind of like we got to keep the heat on these people because he still very much controls Twitter. He still very much has influence in our political situation, influence in our social situation. He's shadow banning Club Chalamet. He's out of control, you know? He's out of control. So, all right. I actually have to go eat dinner because I mean, yeah. Um, but I want to thank the people for the people that got readings. Thank you for that. We'll try it again another time. Hopefully, I was gonna do this a little earlier today, but man, this Virgo moon has been on one, so it didn't happen. But we'll do this again. We'll do this again sometime, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific for Petty Astrology Live. We'll talk more about some of the events of this week that were not pop culture, and we'll get into it. So I will see you tomorrow. Good night.